And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Andy Baker, who during her near-death experience was pure consciousness and went to space. Andy, thank you for joining me and welcome.
It's good to be here, and I'm happy to talk to you about my experience today.
Well, we're happy to have you. Andy, can you start on the day that it happened and go from there?
Yes, it was 3 years ago. It was summer, and I was traveling with my husband from Florida to Las Vegas to meet up with some friends. And, we had some car issues that day. So the day started, one of those days where everything doesn't work out and everything feels difficult and there's like a heaviness about it. So while we were waiting for the car to get fixed, I thought, well, I should meditate a little bit and, see if I feel less stress. I felt a heaviness in my chest that day, and there was a lot of tension. In my meditation, I listen, to music in my headsets, in my moments that, I do my practice. And I had an extraordinary moment of light that I've never had before in any other meditation sessions. And I didn't know what to think of it. I now understand that it was a moment maybe trying to get me ready for what was next, But anyhow, to describe it, for a few seconds, I kind of saw in my mind, I was with my eyes closed, I saw a lot of light. And the feeling that I had was just ultimate bliss. And there was a voice, and it was a male voice. And he just said a few words in my native language, which is Romanian. And it said, "You will inherit the kingdom of heaven." And then the moment was gone. And I didn't think anything of it. I came out of my meditation and I thought, oh, wow, what an extraordinary experience. I must have been like in nirvana or something. My day went on, and I arrived at my destination in Las Vegas late that evening. And I hadn't been feeling well all day, but the heaviness in my chest or the little pain in my chest, I figured, I just must be stressed from the road trip, or, I looked pale, but I pushed it away. I'm kind of younger. I was 35 at the time. So I didn't think anything of it, didn't think I needed to go to a hospital or anything like that. And we went out for a drink, and I normally don't drink much. And I was just having a margarita, and we were talking to the other couple that we met. It was their anniversary. They were getting ready. When at the table, I didn't feel good all of a sudden. And I actually thought I was going to get sick to my stomach or something because I could feel pain in here. And I excused myself to go to the restroom just so I don't embarrass myself, But on my way to the restroom, I felt like the biggest pain in here in my chest. And I was out. Lights were out. I guess I collapsed. But the thing is, when you pass out, you expect just the darkness to come and get you. But I was not in darkness. I went somewhere else. And I would describe that place as the space. I just woke up in space. And I had no body. I was just pure consciousness, part of the space, like unfolding into an infinite. And I also felt a lot of love and a lot of understanding. I felt like there was no time, there was no pain, there was no emotions like the ones that we have here. I wasn't thinking about home or anything. It was just in this emotion, like an awe of everything. And I guess with my mind eye, I could see all these lights around me, and it was millions of there, and some were clustered or, apart or separate, some were together. And when I saw all those lights, I was like, wow, that must be all the souls. I must be seeing all the souls that exist. And the feeling of like love and knowledge and everything was just overwhelming. And when I realized what I'm seeing, I also noticed a background sound. And when I was trying to focus on it, I realized it's voices, and so many, women, men, children. It was the only way I could describe that. It's my river of voices. That's what I call it now. And as I was listening to it, at one point, two voices stood out. And it was my husband and my friend. My friend is a nurse. Thank God she was there. And they found me collapsed. And they were yelling around me, I guess around my body. They were yelling what to do, like, why is she like this? She's got no color. Rub her feet, turn her. I guess when I fell down, I also scraped my nose, or, I don't know how they found me, in what condition. But the moment I heard their voices, it was the moment that I came back. Because in the moment that I realized who they were, I got sucked through a tunnel and entered back in my body. Now, I never really felt or seen my body when I left it, because I just woke up in space, but the moment I did enter it back, I do remember going through a tunnel of light, like a very fast speed through it, and then just coming back from outer space, coming back into my body. So that was my out of body experience, to say it on a short. I didn't realize at the time, what happened. And they were so happy to see me just come back to my senses. So we stayed there for a little while on the floor to see if anything hurts or anything like that, because they didn't know what was going on with me either. And after a few moments, I figured, well, nothing hurts, no broken limbs or anything. And I said, well, I think I could try to stand up, And I stand up, and they were helping me out, both of them. I had my arms around them. And I tried to take a few steps, and it happened again. I left again. And I went to the same place. Not a different place, just the same place, which I now think it was not a destination. I just think maybe I ended up somewhere in between worlds, The same place with the same lights. Again, I was pure consciousness, part of everything, felt like eternal. I had no body. I had no emotions, which I now think that all the emotions that we have over here, they belong to the body, not really our spirit, to say it like that. And I spent a few more moments there, and then again I got back through the tunnel and back into my body. Now we did find out. I did end up in the emergency room after that. We did find out what was wrong with me. It seems that even though I eat healthy, I work out, I had a problem with blood clotting. So I've had symptoms before this event that there was something wrong with me. I didn't seek a doctor. So anyway, so I think those little fragments probably caused me some issues. We found things that were wrong with the electrical impulses to my heart and things like that. And like I said, indicators of blood clotting. And I was a vegetable for about 5 weeks after those events. I mean, I would get tired just making my bed. Um, and it took me a long time to process what happened. Um, I struggled for a long time with anxiety and panic attacks after that event, which I never had before. So I felt like my body was sabotaging me, my mind. I went to therapy also. It took me a while to talk to my doctor, about my experience. At first, I didn't want to mention it to anybody because I thought, well, maybe I'll just sound crazy, Um, and I'm sure a lot of people, they take their own time to process what happens to them, On the other hand, it took me a long time to understand why I had the moment that I had in my meditation, 12 hours prior to my event, or 10 hours, because it was earlier in that day. I didn't make the connection at first, but now I figure it was like a sign, you know. Um, so that was, shortly to put it, that was my experience. Um, or my two experiences. Well, they were the same anyway. And like I said, I don't think I went to like a final destination or place like that. I think maybe my heart, had little shortcuts or something, and then I just got a glimpse of of another place that is outside Earth, and outside the body here that we have.
Andy, thank you for sharing with us. During the first time you left your body, well, actually, right before it, you were walking, you were feeling bad, and then all of a sudden it was lights out. And then you woke up in space.
Yeah.
When you woke up in space, did the thought come to your mind, I must be dead? Or were you more confused, like, where am I?
No, actually, there is no negative feelings. There is no fears. I didn't have any questions like that. I guess I was super excited to be there. Um, and like I said, I was in awe. So it was very nice to feel myself as like a pure consciousness, because I didn't know before how pure we are. While I was up there, I didn't think of my family. I didn't think, oh my God, where am I? I just thought, wow, what is this place? It's amazing. There is no fear like, oh my God, I don't know where this is. No, I felt like I already had a knowledge of what that is. I was already a part of it. There was no fear of not knowing what it is. I almost felt like I've always been that. I just didn't know it, So yeah, there is no emotions um, like the ones here, which makes me grateful that we have this life here and that we can have all these emotions um, that are like this, negative and positive and love and have connections and interact with other people because up there is like you just feel like you are a part of everything and you have knowledge and you feel acceptance and love and you just feel, I guess, the highest kind of vibration or energy that there is, so no, for me I didn't have any thoughts like that. I was just in awe and I was just grateful to be there, be a part of everything. Yeah.
So are you saying it's like once you're there, you're plugged back into the system and you know everything and you already understand where you're at?
Yeah, it's like returning home. It's like returning to yourself, which is infinite. That's how I felt. So the fact that I felt like I am part of the infinite, like expanding in an infinite without body, just pure consciousness, witnessing everything around me. Um, it doesn't compare to anything here. We're so limited here in the body and, living by a time frame. We age and we have like this process that it's conditioned by the life here, So over there, I just felt like I'm infinite. There is no time and place. It's just part of everything.
Would you say that when you're over there, you completely forgot about who Andy Baker was?
Yes.
And at the moment that you heard your husband and your friends' voices, that reconnected you and that caused you immediately to return.
Yes, absolutely. I had I I had no memory of life here. I wasn't thinking of my life here. Yeah, I completely forgot of my body or who I'm here. Yes. Um, the only thing that was what brought me back was hearing my loved ones. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the moment I heard them, for me, it wasn't a choice. There was no beings to tell me you must return because I don't think my journey was that long. Um, and like I said, I don't think I went that far. But for me, there was no choice to return. The moment I heard them, I just got reconnected to my body, pulled back through the tunnel, like less than a second. I would say it's the speed is less than a second. And I was just back here. I wonder sometimes now that if I didn't hear them, if it would have happened or if I would have just stayed longer there or not. But yeah, the moment I did hear them, I recognized them and I just returned immediately.
Once you were back, did you feel like you were stuffed back in a little body again and it felt confining?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I guess I've loved my life here, and I've never really been like an unhappy person, or I have a good life here, and I have good practices for myself. I've always been spiritual, but not really focused on reading the Bible or anything. I was raised Christian, but I've always just been accepting of everybody around me. I've always believed in God and our Creator. I think He has many names. Each culture, calls Him a different name. Um, But I've always loved my body here. I was happy to be back. I wasn't upset for not staying there longer. But at the same time, I think my mind was just excited, like, wow, it's just like I just had this thing. Um, so it's kind of like when you eat something really special and it has like an amazing taste of like popping flavor in your mouth. So I think it was kind of the same for my brain. Um, I didn't feel stuffed or no, I didn't. I felt good to be back.
What I was referring to is physically, because over there you were expanding and you were without a body, so you may have felt like you were really large.
Yeah,
And then back here
infinite.
in the body, you're physically back into a small body.
Yeah. No, I felt good. It felt great over there. It felt great to know myself that way, to get a little glimpse of what we truly are. To hear myself and just to feel the pure energy that we are. We out there. I just felt so pure. There's no negativity. There's nothing like that. You just feel like this pure being, pure consciousness. There's only this understanding towards everything, no fears, nothing like that. Um, and also to be back here, because I don't have such a long life. I am not tired of exploring Earth, and I love my life here. I love being alive here. So when I came back, um, I was just like, wow, that was a ride, you know. So yeah, but I didn't feel confined or anything. I was actually, and ever since my experience, I just been happy to be alive. I've been happy to have this experience here. I'm happy it didn't end right there. I'm happy with everything that I've done in my life since then. I'm happy with the fact that now I have a deeper understanding of of what this is here, and I feel like more love towards everything, you know. So yeah.
Have you noticed since you've been back that you have any new abilities that you didn't have prior?
Actually, there has been some changes. Yes. I used to paint before, and I'm like an abstract person when it comes to painting. I didn't go to art school. I didn't have all the skills, to paint very neatly or anything like that. And after my experience, I did started to paint, and the style of my paintings have changed. Before they were much more messy, and now they're much more well put together. And also they have a different warmth to them or anything like that. And I also picked up a new habit, completely new, that I never had before, and I started to write. I started to write poetry. It's been about a year since I've been writing poetry. And I actually started to write in English, my first poem, which is, not my native language. I mean, I've been here for 17 years. I speak well English, but I just never thought I would start writing poetry in English. Um, and that's been fun to explore. But there is no writers in my family. Before having my experience out of my body, I never even thought about writing anything. And then just one day, I felt the need to express myself through words. And I never even studied it before. Like there's techniques or take classes for poetry. I never even read poetry before, to be honest with you, except while doing school. So yeah, so I did started to write.
Have you written a poem about your experience?
I have written many poems since then. I have a very beautiful one, that can be read in multiple ways. It depends whatever resonates within you. But I guess I wrote this one for me, this one is about Earth, and it's about life here.
Do you mind sharing it with us?
No, I don't mind at all. Let me just pull it up here on my tablet. And now I'm saying I'm beginner, so bear with me. I don't have much experience, with that, but I can definitely share it with you guys. Now, I might not be the best one to read it, but it's called Unique Star. And it goes like this. The world lies at your feet. If you would dare only to reach beyond what's near or far, you'd see that every single scar is gold, makes you unique. And maybe then you'd start to speak, to tell the world you are not weak nor lost. You're not alone. You're not afraid of the unknown. You stand so bold at edge of time, knowing that in your heart you hold the eyes to see the road, the power to unfold your destiny. Your greatest gift will be to love the world.
I think that's fantastic.
You like it?
Yeah, it's great.
Thank you. It was very fun to play with this new hobby for me.
That's great. Have you noticed any abilities like being precognitive or empathic or anything like that?
Well, you know what? I think I've kind of been open towards that even before my experience. I've had certain dreams, like dreaming of a church that would be built in a certain place, and was built 3 years later. Only to go back there and see that, oh my God, they built the church that I dreamed about. Or, I used to work in the beauty industry, and I used to do facials. So I would touch people with my hands. And there was times before when I've touched somebody and maybe I felt a certain energy, or maybe I felt that they're sick. Like I said, I think when people, I think some people are open to things like that. Maybe they're perceptive, or maybe they're, you know, raised to pay attention to certain things. So for me, I already had that before. Yeah. I've already had that before.
Do you think it's possible that you planned this NDE pre-birth?
Pre-birth? That's a good question. No, I don't think so. I think sometimes these experiences, like, for example, mine, I think it was just like a gift, maybe, to just give me a little glimpse. Maybe it wasn't meant to take me all the way. I think sometimes we just have bad moments. We might be sick and not know it. Um, I don't think I was at a bad place in my life at the time. Like I said, I was happy. I'm married. My life is in order, you know. But I think sometimes there's just little moments where maybe we need to pay attention to our body, to what's happening it here, because my blood clotting was caused by a birth control that I was taking and smoking. So, a lot of women have issues with that, with certain hormones. It can cause troubles. But, I was not paying attention. to my body in that way. So maybe it was harmful to me, to my body, and maybe the universe just wanted to give me like a little flag of attention. um so I don't know why they happen. Maybe we're just meant to have that understanding, um and see how we proceed in the rest of the life. Maybe it's a gift. um who knows? Or maybe we've had multiple lives, and maybe we're at the end of our journey, through the lives that we had. I don't know. Who can tell for sure? Um, Unlike other people's, I didn't have any other conversations with beings. The only voice I heard was in my meditation, in my moment of light, which happened, before my event.
How did the conversation go with your healthcare team when you told them about the experience?
Well, as far as um I've talked to like I said, after my experience, the same night, and starting from there on, the thing is, when you're near death, you can trigger the little gland in the back that's used to handling your survival, the amygdala. So for me, it triggered panic attacks, and they came and took me by surprise, because I never had before panic attacks or depression or anything like that. I've never experienced it before, and I did have to seek help, because at first I didn't know what was going on, with the panic attacks, and I went and saw somebody specializing in trauma and things like that. And, we worked on it. And after a while, when I felt safe enough, I think after about a month, I opened up and told her, look, I wasn't in darkness. I remember perfectly everything. And I went twice there, not just once, to say, okay, a little glitch. I went to the same place twice. And when I shared it with her, she said, well, you sound like you had a very meaningful spiritual experience. So, she didn't deny it or anything like that. She was like, well, it's incredible, um, because we were trying to find out why all of a sudden I feared death. Why am my panic attacks were, I guess I just feared dying. I feared dying in my sleep, or just dying all of a sudden. And, I think they were a result from my experience. It took me by surprise, and, the body has its own ways to process things. And I guess my brain needed time to adjust to that, and to understand, you know, just because your soul understands or your heart understands, that doesn't mean the same happens for your body or your brain. So, but yeah, and even my regular doctor, he was pretty understanding, and everybody worked with me on that.
Since you've been to the other side, can you see the difference between how your soul or awareness work versus your mind and your body?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. Well, first of all, I can see, what I now think about the body. It's a vessel. It's not me. It's not the soul. It's my body. It's a wonderful gift, and it is a means to experience this material world here. Yes, and I'm grateful for the experiences here, because I now realize that only by having this body, I can, you know, connect to other people. I can hug them. You know, we have families. We belong to these groups. And you can have all these experiences here that the body offers you, and actually to experience this planet, to experience this dimension, this life here. I now don't fear, pain. I now take, pain, I take it kind of the same way I take any other joys of the body. So whatever sensations we feel like, okay, we're hugging somebody, or we're kissing somebody, or we're eating, or we're interacting with the world here. But now, even when I experience pain, I just take it, okay, well, this is part of it too, burning your hand, or so. So it just makes me think of it differently. um, so the good and the bad. I now, whenever we have bad moments and we are, desperate, or we are fearful, or whenever we had, we lose somebody, or things like that, I now have more understanding towards that, because even though I had faith before, I never lacked faith. I I always thought that, yeah, we go somewhere. This isn't the end. But now I know for sure, so. And you know how there's that battle between evil and good, and how I'm Christian and they raise you to, fear the devil and this and that. I now no longer see things like that. I now see evil as maybe just being the absence of light, or of God, or of faith. you know um I don't see it as this creature lurking in the dark, to wait for you. So that has that has changed for me, the way I see things. Yeah. And then the mind, yeah, I now think that there's a soul which is eternal and part of everything, and there's your body, and then there's your mind, yeah, which controls many things in your experience here.
Do you think that you now view being here as an amazing opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I didn't see it before. I just took it for granted. But yeah, I now see it like that, and I'm now grateful for every single day, either it's good or bad. I now don't take things as serious as before. I just think, well, it's just life. It's a ride. It's up and down. Yeah, yeah. I definitely think that it changed everything in my life, in the way I see things, in the way I see, suffering or joy, um, or in the way that I prepare myself when I lose, the loved ones around me. Um, I now know that if it was to happen and to just leave again all of a sudden, I don't have regrets. I think everybody should work towards that, you know, to, yeah, go out there and experience love, experience having a family, or see the world, or whatever you feel like you would like to do here, you know, uh, so that you don't have the regrets that you didn't do that, or you lived in fear, or, you just let the circumstances hold you down, or things like that. So, yeah. I have a twin brother over here, and he's in Romania. And I've always had like a special connection to him. And, um, you never know when it's going to be lights out. So until then, you should do everything that you want. because like for me, this experience happened at 35, and I was in good health. I was going to the gym all the time, running. I had no, you know, no disease, anything like that. But you never know when the little switch, when it's your moment, to go. So you should, you should be prepared, you know, you should have things in order. Yeah. And you should be uh, happy with yourself, how far you've got, you know, how many experiences you have collected, by then. I think the only thing that I could regret is not living enough, you know? So, um, yeah, so I think since then, I'm not that serious, and I'm just always thinking, well, I should live a little more, I should try more experiences. I should have more diversity, you know? Don't spend my time watching TV. But go out there, and we should interact more with each other, because it's the only place that we could do it this way. We should make much more connections. I now see happiness as is not brought by how many things we have. Happiness is such a good subject. I now see happiness as being defined by the quality of the relationships that we have with others, you know? So not about how many things we gather around ourselves, but it could be defined by the experiences that we have, and the relationships that we have with others.
If you compare the other side to this world, would you say the other side is more real, or would it be dreamlike?
Ah, that's a good question. Uh, I think it's more real. Yeah. I think you can compare how accurate you are. It's almost like just getting in touch with the truth. It's almost just like knowing the truth, you know? Yeah. Um, Here, we're clouded. Here we are distracted, we're limited in our bodies. Um, so yeah, I would say the reality is more over there, you know, the real truth. It just feels that way, the real truth is out there. So here is just the way we perceive things, or the way that um, we've processed the experiences. We have our senses, and you have all these processes going on, and you're trying to make sense like a puzzle, but not knowing the whole picture, so you don't know how far you are along, but you keep on trying to piece them together, but up there is like seeing the whole picture.
After watching this podcast, people may want to reach out to you and ask you questions. Are you open to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my experience wasn't, super advanced. I don't think I went far, but I do think that I went out of my body, probably to a place in between. I think the purpose was maybe to show me, maybe to make me love life here even more. Or, I mean, I already did before, you know. Um, I don't know, but yeah, I think we should all do that.
What's the best way to contact you?
Through email. Yeah. Yeah. Best way to contact me is through email.
What's your email address?
It's Andy Baker 241998 at gmail.com.
Would you say that's Andy as in ANDI or ANDY?
ANDY.
Before we finish up, can you leave us with one last positive message?
I think for everybody that's out there, my message would be, if you lost loved ones, and if that's why you're listening to this, you should know that they can hear you. If you have somebody that's lying in a hospital bed, you should go talk to them because they can hear you from up there. I think one of the most important things for me was the fact that I could hear everybody from down here. So I think whatever we're praying, or yeah, I think it's all heard. You know, I don't think we're without a voice, you know. Yeah, I think your voice is heard.
Andy, thank you for that message, and thank you for being my guest.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. And it was a pleasure to be here and share my experience with everybody.
The pleasure was all mine. Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.